Hi, I'm Brian Kenny, and welcome to ESPN Classic's Top 5 Reasons You Can't Blame, a series that takes a fresh look at sports personalities who are remembered largely for their mistakes, controversial moments, or questionable decisions. On February 10, 1990, heavyweight champion Mike Tyson was an overwhelming favorite to make short work of challenger James "Buster" Douglas. Tyson at the time was 37-0 with 33 knockouts. He was riding a wave of popularity and apparent invincibility. Very few of us could have known on that night in Tokyo the man they called Iron Mike would enter the first phase of a meltdown that would last a decade. Now, it's easy to blame the man himself, but over the next half hour, we'll explain why you can't blame Mike Tyson for being on the losing end of one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. Before we count down our top 5 reasons, let's take a look at the events which led up to that pivotal night when Tyson's career began its downward spiral.
All you come get some, because Mike Tyson's out here. He's waiting for you. All come get some.
Wow, with an uppercut at Tyson. Catches him with a right left hook, and he goes down!
And it's all over. Good run.
My objective is to inflict as much pain as possible.
He's got to hang on, or they'll stop the fight. Down he goes!
If you wanted to build the perfect heavyweight fighter, you couldn't have done any better than putting it in Mike Tyson's body.
Mike Tyson was a killing machine.
Give Tyson credit. That's it. And it's over.
The emotions that Mike Tyson generated were fear in any opponent.
He was going to wreak destruction on them, and it was going to be ugly, and it was going to hurt, and they knew it.
I will never forget when he fought Frank Bruno. He crossed himself more than the Pope. I mean, it's almost as if Frank Bruno was giving himself the last rites.
Tyson knows he's got him in big trouble. It's all over.
In 1988, 2 years after becoming the youngest heavyweight champion at age 20, Tyson knocked out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds. This completed his leveling of the heavyweight division. 2 TKOs later, Iron Mike led his entourage to Tokyo.
Buster Douglas, to that point, had been one of the biggest underachievers for years in boxing.
He was never conditioned. He was always overweight.
He gave up fights. What kind of heart did he have? Nobody, but nobody thought he had a chance.
Tyson was killing people at the time. It was almost like the guy wasn't human.
He was such an overwhelming favorite, 42-1, that there were only about 8 American journalists who went to Tokyo for that fight.
Sports books, you know, it wasn't even one of the numbers on it. That's why we went to Japan, because no one would buy the fight over here.
The bet was how many seconds it's going to take for Mike to knock this guy out.
Increasing the likelihood that Douglas would not fight with the necessary aggression was a recent death in his family.
Here's a guy who just days before had lost probably the greatest force in his life, his mom. This was not the kind of frame of mind you wanted a fighter to be in.
It's round 1, the heavyweight championship of the world from Tokyo.
Buster Douglas had nothing to lose. You know the old saying about a cat being in a corner. You know, if he's got nowhere to go, he's going to come out fighting.
The champion misses. Good shot landed by Buster Douglas. And the champion gets nailed again.
Tyson was taken out of his comfort zone, which is to wreak havoc, and his offense was nowhere.
It was about the 3rd or 4th round, and we're all sitting there saying, well, at some point it's going to turn around. And it didn't turn around.
Oh, a right hand catches Mike.
Things went downhill from there. Mike's knees by the 5th round for doing this wasn't in shape.
Oh, a good right hand. A left hand catches Mike. The head's really bouncing.
The people who've been watching Tyson just dominate and dominate and dominate. It was shocking.
In the 8th round, Tyson flashed his old colors by knocking the challenger to the canvas. But when the champ couldn't finish, Douglas seized the moment.
Good shot! Tyson staggered! Tyson staggered!
It was shocking because, again, baddest man on the planet. You can't hurt this guy, but that was all proven wrong in one night.
Oh, Tyson nailed! There goes Tyson! We never expected to see this! We got a new heavyweight champion!
It was the greatest upset in boxing history, if not in sports history.
No one really expected it, so you have to assume also that Mike Tyson didn't expect it.
He had been taking it easy in Tokyo. He hadn't been training.
He was out of shape. He didn't care. This was just another payday for Mike, and he didn't take it seriously.
While Buster Douglas was sleeping, getting his rest and training, Mike Tyson was out partying till hours of the morning.
I think you can blame him because he wasn't prepared. Tyson at the time, like everybody else in America, didn't know what he was facing that night in Tokyo.
You can blame Mike Tyson because he didn't train properly and he took Buster Douglas lightly and certainly was not prepared either physically or mentally to fight at the level he needed to fight to win that fight.
But there's much more to this story. In just a few minutes, we'll count down the top 5 reasons you can't blame Mike Tyson. But first, here are a few reasons that just missed the cut. We call them the best of the rest. Donald Trump. After hosting a number of Tyson's fights, the real estate mogul tried in vain to sign the champ. Had the Donald handled Iron Mike's affairs, he may have been focused.
I would have done a great job for Mike if that were my business, but it's not my business.
Donald Trump, as a business person, made certain that Tyson trained and wasn't out partying as much as he ultimately did.
Another best of the rest. Referee Octavio Meyron's apparent slow count. When Douglas was knocked down, he beat the 10 count by 1 second.
You see Octavio Meyron, the referee, pick up the count from the timekeeper at 2, and Douglas is on his knees, and he's looking at the referee, and I'm saying, still not going to beat him.
This guy's still alive because of a bad referee's call? That's got to affect you. So you can't blame Mike Tyson mentally because that would screw up anybody.
The 10 count is hardly a precise tolling of seconds. 1 as given by the referee and 1 as given by the clock are not necessarily the same.
Tyson's camp protested, but to no avail. Welcome back. Now that we've presented some salient points for you to ponder, we'll begin our countdown with reason number 5. The death of legendary trainer Cus D'Amato. Tyson never recovered from the loss of his mentor, in or out of the ring.
If Cus D'Amato had lived, I believe that Mike Tyson would have remained as heavyweight champion of the world.
Cus D'Amato became a father figure to Mike Tyson.
D'Amato, who had made world champions of Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres, not only converted the volatile street-tough Brooklyn kid into a devastating fighting machine, he took him out of a reform school and made him one of his own.
He had a great teacher in Cus D'Amato, and that really wasn't fair to a lot of other fighters.
Mike Tyson was programmed from the beginning. And Cus's way of training a fighter was to teach him to throw punches in certain sequences. And it worked very, very well.
By channeling this guy's intensity and finding a vehicle, a way to take that intensity and to take that power, Cus D'Amato created a great champion.
Just 8 months after Tyson's professional debut, D'Amato succumbed to pneumonia in November of 1985. A year later, Tyson knocked out Trevor Berbick to become heavyweight champion. But mixed with the glory was the memory of a loss that would deepen with time.
When Cus died, you can't underestimate what that did to Tyson's life.
That was probably his only father figure. And things went haywire after that.
After his mentor's death, Tyson wavered from D'Amato's old-school principles. He was sued 4 times and had numerous run-ins with law enforcement, often for violent behavior.
I don't think Mike Tyson ever trained again. Went through the motions, got sweaty, and I think that's entirely traceable to Cus D'Amato being gone.
And Tyson was just another poor soul out there trying to perform, and he couldn't, because Tyson was only as good as the program that created him.
Then you saw a real downhill spiral in Mike's ring style.
He has stopped being the scientific fighter that Cus D'Amato raised. He has become a headhunter. And that set him up for Buster Douglas.
Oh, Tyson nailed! Tyson!
Mike Tyson would have competed at a higher level and wouldn't have had some of the crazy out-of-the-ring personal problems that he had.
He never recovered from Buster Douglas. He never recovered from the death of Cus D'Amato. That's what he never recovered from.
Are we starting to change your thinking? Maybe reason number 4 will help.
Robin Givens. She was to Tyson what Delilah was to Samson.
There's no question that you can blame Robin Givens for everything that happened.
He was a puppy dog around her in public. What he was like around her in private may be another matter.
In February of 1988, Tyson and his actress girlfriend were married. Almost immediately, the changes to Iron Mike's demeanor were visible to members of the media.
I went to watch Mike train, and he came out of the shower and started toweling himself off. And I was talking with Robin at that point, and she interrupted the interview and just turned and said, "Michael, that shower was much too short. Get back in there." And Tyson, who was this fearsome guy, the baddest man on the planet, tucked his head down, turned around, and went back in the shower and stayed in for about 20 more minutes.
We used to call Ruth Roper, who was the mother, the Dragon Lady, and we used to call Robin Dragonette. Because everything was a plot.
Tyson's former co-managers had set up an irrevocable trust for Mike.
And if he never fought again, he would, in his later life, be taken care of. One of the first things that Robin and our mother did was to break into and get control of that annuity. They had to have wanted it pretty badly because there was definitely physical abuse going on.
Just 8 months after the wedding, Givens sued for divorce. Although the marriage was dissolved a year before the Douglas bout, Tyson still felt the impact.
Here's this woman that he truly loved, and all of a sudden found out that she was just a gold digger.
She didn't love him, she loved his money. So if you want to blame Robin Givens for making Mike Tyson lose the fight, he'd go ahead.
She was a diversion. He wasn't focused on boxing like he was prior to Robin Givens. And that's one of the reasons why Robin Givens can be blamed for Mike Tyson's demise when it comes to Buster Douglas.
Coming up on our countdown, Tyson's empty corner.
The corner was a mess. It was doing worse than Tyson, if possible.
We're counting down the top 5 reasons you can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas.
Welcome back. If the first 2 reasons didn't move you, maybe number 3 will.
Tyson's inexperienced cornermen.
I think you blame Tyson's corner a lot more than you blame Mike Tyson.
The corner was a mess. It was doing worse than Tyson, if possible.
Under trainer Kevin Rooney, a former pro welterweight and stablemate, Tyson racked up 35 straight victories. Ditching Rooney would have far-reaching effects on Tyson in his preparation and in his corner during fights.
Jay Bright, Aaron Snowell, nice people, but not the kind of people who train heavyweight champion boxers.
He went in and his corner was unprepared, and he was unprepared.
Oh, big right hand landed that time. Look at that swelling of the left eye of Mike.
Winning 33 of his 37 fights by knockout, Tyson went more than 5 rounds just 7 times. When he didn't pull off an early KO, Tyson didn't have a savvy boxing mind to guide him as the fight wore on.
An experienced cornerman would have said, "Hey, Mike, you need to step to your right, you need to cut off the ring, you need to get him in a corner." They just kept saying, "Go after him, Mike, go after him, Mike," and that wasn't really much instruction.
He was getting hit with almost every jab that Douglas threw, and that's because he wasn't using head movement as he was coming in. That would have been something certainly they should have harped on.
As Buster Douglas scores 2 nice straight left jabs to the face.
Poor old Mike was getting the bejesus beaten out of him. He had nobody to fall back on, nobody to listen to, and nobody to even ice down his swollen eyes. It was pathetic.
So inexperienced was his corner that when Tyson's left eye started to swell after the 5th round, his handlers were not equipped to effectively treat it.
They're trying to treat Tyson's swollen eyes with what appeared to be a prophylactic filled with ice.
When I saw this balloon that passed for an ice bag, I thought to myself, what the hell is going on there?
I kept looking for the end swell in the corner, which every professional trainer has this frozen metal to reduce the swelling and preserve the eyesight.
They hadn't even brought the right material, not thinking this fight's going to go past 2 rounds.
You can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas when
He gets hit in the eye, and he's got Larry, Moe, and Curly in there with a prophylactic device filled with ice water, saying, just hope this maybe makes the swelling go down, because they forgot the end swell.
I blame the corner for the loss because nobody knew what they were doing. These guys should not have taken any money off that fight because they were absolutely sorry.
Have we begun to change your mind yet? If not, take a look at reason number 2.
Like many great offensive fighters, Tyson's ability was easy to overrate.
Mike Tyson had come to believe in his own invincibility.
There's nobody on this planet that can beat me.
Everybody was raving about him, and he was obviously raving about himself as the baddest man on the planet.
Is there any way in your mind that you can see you losing this fight?
No way. Perhaps if I chop off both of my arms.
Mike Tyson was up here, everybody else was down here. So I don't blame him for thinking that Buster Douglas is just going to be another win.
Tyson's undefeated record included 18 knockouts in the first round, but critics questioned the quality of opposition.
Despite the fact that Tyson was a huge favorite, I think that people still felt that Tyson had something to prove. He still hadn't really beaten anybody of any consequence at that point.
2 things were missing from Mike's resume. The lengthy, legendary fight that really tested his mettle for the long haul, the kind of fights that Ali and Frazier fought. And 2, the really cagey opponent.
In Tokyo, Douglas made the champ look human. Unlike most of Tyson's victims, he did not buy into his aura of invincibility.
And this is certainly Buster Douglas' round. All right. And Buster not taking any of the shenanigans from Mike.
Douglas was slowly ripping apart that cloak, Superman's cape. He was starting to tear it to shreds as the rounds clicked on.
When an intimidator fails to intimidate, he becomes intimidated.
Tyson getting hit like we've never seen it before.
The first time he had a moment of real adversity in his entire career, he fell apart.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable!
I guess he thought he was so invincible that no one would dare punch Mike Tyson. I came to fight.
That's when Mike Tyson, the bully, was unmasked and became just Mike Tyson, a generic fighter.
Up next, the #1 reason why you can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas. Let's recap reasons 5 through 2 why you can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas. 5. The death of his mentor, Cus D'Amato. 4. Robin Givens was an enemy within. 3. Tyson's inexperienced corner. And 2. Tyson's ability was overrated.
Keep in mind, for those who do revisionist history, Tyson, by the time he was 23, had become the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. He had 9 title defenses, 7 by knockout. So it's time to give credit where it's due. We now present the #1 reason why you can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas. He fought a near-perfect fight.
It was his finest night. He's never looked better.
A middling contender with a 29-4-1 record, Douglas drew inspiration from personal tragedy.
It spurred him on to train as he's never trained before, be focused as he had never been focused before.
I wasn't going to allow that to stop me because I know that would hurt her even more. I always wanted to please her.
He was a kind of a psychologically freed man, and he just let it all go.
Oh, a right hand! Cut Tyson right on the button!
What Buster Douglas did that night was beautiful. He would wait till Mike would plant his feet, pop him twice with the left jab, move back out of range, and throw the right. Same scenario, over and over.
Tyson very patient at this stage. Now he gets a little bit more aggressive, goes after Buster Douglas. Douglas fights back off the ropes.
I didn't want him close to the guy. I want him always turning him. And when you keep Mike turning, he can't punch.
Tyson comes in, and he's getting hit again.
I saw a look in Buster Douglas' eyes that I didn't see in Mike Tyson's eyes. And as the rounds went by, I saw Buster Douglas taking charge of the fight with the left jab.
Oh, a good right hand. A left hand catches Mike. The head's really bouncing.
Punching and moving with finesse and ferocity, Douglas was fast and fluid. Tyson, meanwhile, showed little in the first 7 rounds.
8th round, Douglas is doing everything beautifully. Doubling the jab, lead right hands, moving Tyson around, smothering him inside.
And as Tyson's somehow caught up in the ropes, he throws an uppercut from, the second row.
Oh, that's a nice uppercut that time. That drops Buster Douglas. Is he going to get up? Yes, he does. All right.
In the 9th round, Tyson moved in for the kill, but Douglas wasn't finished.
How he turned it around was one of the most incomprehensible things I've ever seen in sport. There's suddenly Buster Douglas putting everything together once again.
Buster Douglas has really brought it up from the depths of courage to nail Tyson.
And he's picking apart Tyson, who has come out, charging out of the gate as an angry bull. And by the end of the round, he's being beaten on like a cowbell.
Douglas has got to get on him. He nails Mike again.
So that the 9th, basically, was a preview of things to come in the 10th.
Surprising after Douglas went down to see him come back and nail Tyson like this.
I was in the zone, man. I was in that zone.
Oh, Tyson nailed! Tyson!
If Mike Tyson didn't have a huge neck, he'd have ripped his head off. He didn't even know where he was at. They almost had to carry him back to the dressing room.
Buster Douglas is never that good before and never that good since. But on that one night in Tokyo, he was pretty near perfect.
Well, there you have it, the top 5 reasons you can't blame Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas. In 2005, when Tyson lost to Kevin McBride, he announced his retirement. He was asked if he felt he was letting down his fans for not continuing his career. Tyson laughed and said, "Come on, my career ended in 1990. Give him credit for at least knowing that." I'm Brian Kenny. Thanks for watching.